welcome to Knockhill for rounds 3 and 4 of the British GT Championship. Yes, that's right, this week we've got 2 races. After the 2-hour endurance of Snetterton, we've got 2 40-minute sprints with driver changes, so things could get pretty hectic out there. Shane, it all went a bit Pete-Tong at Snetterton. You're hoping to make amends today?
I think Snetterton was one of those moments where we knew the Moses had the legs on us, and for me I was a bit hot under the collar and just trying to get out there and do the best I could. We had a slight ignition problem as well, hence why we ended up pulling into pits to clear the grass from the vents and stuff, but you know, that's racing for you. If any time we're going to actually have a chance at the Moses, it's here at Knockhill. We had a good go at them in Donington where it was nice and tight and twisty, but if we don't do it here, I don't know where we'll do it.
And you've got 2 40-minute sprints, and judging by the way you've been driving so far this year, that should really suit you.
I hope so, but we'll just play it by ear and see how it's all going.
But either way, you get sort of 20 minutes in each race, absolutely flat out.
Flat out for 20 minutes, that's it. No holds barred.
Well, Jamie had a fantastic run at Snetterton. Shane in the TVR reckons this is probably the one place in the year that they could have you. What do you reckon to that?
Yeah, we thought the TVR would be strong here, but so far from what we've seen in practice and in the morning warm-up, it looks like the Moses is pretty strong out here as well, so I think they're going to have to work hard to beat us.
So you've been working on the pit stops, because in a short race like this, that's where you're going to lose more time in the pits, obviously, than any time you could lose on track.
Absolutely, you can spend sort of 20 minutes making up sort of like a 5-second lead, and you can blow that all in your pit stop, so it's absolutely critical that we get that right. And that was what we're doing in warm-up. I think we did 3 pit stops. I jumped in twice, and I think it was pretty slick. Hopefully it'll work like that in the race, you never know.
This is how the championship standings look after Snetterton. Sean Balfe and Jamie Derbyshire head the field on 50 points. Tom Herridge is close behind on 41, and then it's the TVR boys of Shane Lynch and Piers Johnson. In the GT Cup class, Patrick Pearce and Matt Griffin share the lead on 51, but Neil Cunningham in third is the first of 3 Morgan drivers in hot pursuit. And with a double haul of points up for grabs here at Knockhill, things could change round pretty quickly.
Rob's got the story of the first race, and it was Sean Balfe who took pole position in the Moser.
And at the start, it was the big 3, Balfe, Herridge and Johnson, who battled it out. And immediately they started to pull away from the rest of the pack. But things were very tight further down the order. The Glenbargill Ferrari made its debut and lasted slightly longer than the other debutant, the AJL Jaguar XK8. Alan Lloyd lost it at the chicane, but just a couple of laps later, it was Tim Bartlett's turn to get friendly with the tyre wall. Amazingly, however, he did manage to get going and finish the race. The safety car came out while the big cat was removed from the kiddie litter. And then, on the restart, the Roll Center team gambled on an early pit stop. But Sean Balfe stayed out and started to pull a big gap. The main battle now was for second place between the Eclipse TVR and the Balfe Mosler. But a rapid pit stop by the Eclipse team meant that after the reshuffle they had secured second place from Rob Barfe. However, the man deputizing for Martin Short was still firmly in the TVR's rearview mirror and catching fast. In the Cup class, the Tech 9 Porsche of Griffin and Pierce came under serious pressure from Neil Cunningham driving solo in the Morgan, but they managed to keep him behind and record their 3rd straight win. Barfe caught Lynch at Duffus and barged his way through. Both of the drivers flirted with the dirt, and it was a sheepish Barfe who emerged out in front and stayed there to take second. But there was no doubt about the winner. Jamie Derbyshire brought the Balfe Motorsport Mosler home way ahead of the rest to give them their 100% record. So race 1 sees another Mosler 1-2, but the TVRs continue to keep up the pressure. Another great drive by the 76 Porsche crew nets them another win. But look out for that Morgan.
Jamie, that looked like it went pretty much according to plan, really.
Yeah, Sean put in a fantastic first stint, so he just pulled out a massive advantage for me, and basically I just held on to it.
You didn't have much of a go this time. Are you going to do a bit more in the next one?
No, I told Sean he had to repay the favour I did for him at Snet, so I think he's done it.
As for the second place battle, well, that was settled with a grovelling apology from the Duffus dipstick, Rob Barfe.
I had a little look down the inside of Shane, delved in the talent bag, came up with nothing, and
decided he wouldn't get around the corner unless he bounced off me.
it's just one of those things. I'm really, really sorry.
Right, mate. We'll finish the race, so that's the main thing.
Well, that was a dramatic finish to race number 1 here at Knockhill. Of course, now we have the 4th round of the British GT Championship, and oh, look at that! Shane Lynch had a tough finish to the end of the first race, and now Johnny Mullen, it looks like he's just stalled it on the grid, or they couldn't get the car started at the start of this race.
Yeah, absolutely, Rob. It's a very, very steep incline, so it's easy to stall the car, so he's got a lot of work ahead of him now. He's very disappointed.
Yeah, the Eclipse boys, Piers Johnson, both those drivers are going to be gutted indeed. Now, here we look at the starting grid. They start in this race from the finishing positions of race number 1. We've got an all-Mosler front row, 2 TVRs on the second row, and we've got a nice full grid here at Knockhill. About 17, 18 cars we've got here. A Ferrari, we've even got a Golf GTI in the British GT Championship here at Knockhill. We're going to go racing here. Is Shane Lynch going to make a comeback, or will the Moslers continue their domination down into Duffus Dip? It's the 2 Moslers going down into the first corner. Tom Harridge against Sean Balfe, and Sean Balfe comes off better. Very, very tricky down into this first sequence of corners, and the Moslers already have a little bit of a gap. And look at that, Peter Labat in the Corvette is pushing hard against the TVR. He's made a great start in that Corvette. Johnny, a great track. You love driving around here, don't you?
Yeah, Knockhill is a fantastic track, especially the first sequence of corners into Duffus Dip, up through the chicane, abusing the curbs as you go over. Obviously not too much or you'll damage the car, but it is a great circuit. It's not actually raining as well, so that's a bonus.
Yeah, always a bonus at Knockhill when we have dry weather. Now, Gareth Evans is coming under pressure from Peter Labat. And the Zero team, Johnny, and that Corvette have really, really developed that car nicely. They're down on power against the Moslers. They're even down on power against these TVRs. But Peter Labat really grabbing that car by the scruff of the neck.
Yeah, you can see he's carrying a lot of speed into the apex there at the hairpin, but like you say, especially at Knockhill with that steep gradient after the hairpin, he's losing out lengths and lengths.
Oh, that's Jeff Wyatt has spun there at the hairpin. Oh, it looks like the Jag has gone off, and that looks like some kind of engine problem, Johnny.
There's an awful lot of oil going down there. You have to be very careful under braking into the hairpin now.
Yes, right-hand side of our picture, we can see there Jeff Wyatt tries to go up the inside of the Morgan, and that causes his spin, and Tim Bartlett, just avoiding him, goes wide at the hairpin. We go back to the battle for 3rd and 4th place. We have Gareth Evans just trying to hold off Peter Labat in the Corvette. Down into the hairpin, we're on board now with Tom Harridge. Oh, Johnny, he's running very wide here. He's gone off completely. Will he get out of there?
Well, it depends how often they rake that gravel trap up, but I think he's going to make it through. That's the oil. You saw the car in front, the Moser in front, also teetering around the edge of the hairpin. That's really brought it into play, the oil on the track there.
Wow, that is good news for the other Moser, but terrible news for Tom Harridge, and co-driver Rob Barf is going to take over that machine. As we look over the top of the hill, and we can see the Moser come to review, and Shane Lynch is right on terms with him now. This is going to be good. Down into Duffus Dip. Now they've got the Morgan ahead of them. Tom Harridge. Now he's had that car off in the gravel. Shane Lynch tries to go up the outside, or around the outside, I should say. But of course, the Morgan just gets in the way. They both slide through past those 2 Cup Spec Morgans, Johnny. A great battle in store here.
This is going to be tough. I mean, Shane's looking for an opportunity with the traffic that Tom's going to get held up, and he can throw it down the inside with him straight line speed. And here we've got a replay going to the hairpin. You can see there, he just literally locks up straight over, decides to keep the wheels straight, slow it down as much as possible, then keep it moving as much as possible through the gravel trap. And fortunately for him, he doesn't get bogged down. Very lucky there to actually get out.
Yeah, the gravel trap not really doing its job, it must be said. The idea is to stop the cars going, but fortunately for him, the gravel trap didn't do what it's supposed to do, and he was allowed to drive through, as we see here. This is Dan Eagling, has put some move on Patrick Pierce. Now he's trying to stay ahead of the Mosler behind. The Mosler, and of course the Tuscan are battling for position. Dan Eagling wants to do what he can to stay ahead of those 2 faster cars. Patrick Pierce runs wide. Johnny, big mistake.
Yeah, he's been pushed wide off to the left, had to go straight and take him to the grass. In my experience, of course, Supercut, those cars are more used to being on the dirt than the track anyway.
Yeah, we've seen you spend plenty of time off the tarmac, one of those things. Take a look at this again here, Johnny. It was just a classic mistake of looking in his mirrors and letting these guys slide through.
I think that's a bit harsh, actually. He's probably trying to stay out of the way. Got onto the marbles on the dirty side of the track, and then he got no choice. If you hold the lock in, you'll spin, so he had to go straight. But,
harsh me? Never. I'm never harsh on anybody. But again, we get a look back there from Shane Lynch's machine, and we can see Patrick Pierce making his recovery. This is the battle that is getting everybody on the edge of their seats.
Yeah, there's Tom Harridge coming up the hill, pulling out. He's got Shane right behind him. He knows he's going to pull a couple of lengths before the braking area, so it's not going to be too difficult to keep him behind him coming in here. You can see he moves over to take the right racing line even.
Yeah, Dan Eagling can do nothing about that Mosler as it literally just powers by. Now, this is bad news for Shane Lynch. Does he manage to get up the inside? Oh, no! Dan Eagling fighting for position. Fair enough, Johnny. He does everything he can to keep that Irish driver behind him up over through the chicane. He throws the Marcos off over the curb. Good driving here, Johnny.
It is, but this is Shane's worst nightmare because he came out right behind Tom Herridge earlier on at the hairpin, and now he's lost 6-7 car lengths to him with traffic. But Dan Eagling had every justification to keep behind. They're battling for position because they both started down near the back of the field now.
Tom Herridge down into the hairpin. He puts a move on Stephen Brady in the Ultimate, and there's a little bit of a gap now between him and Shane Lynch, but I doubt that will be there for very long. The Irish driver is very, very determined, and we expected, Johnny, here at Knockhill that the TVR was going to be as quick as the Mosler. It hasn't perhaps been as fast as we'd hoped, but they're pretty evenly matched.
Yes, indeed they are, but I think you're finding that the TVR is sort of carrying a bit more speed into the apex. The Mosler's got that horsepower advantage, and that counts for an awful lot coming out of the slow second gear hairpin all the way up a steep hill here at Knockhill.
Yeah, you know, talking to the drivers of both cars, Johnny, as we have, they say that the TVR can do lap times nearly as quick, as bang on as what the Mosler can do, but they seem to have to really hang it out there to do that, and it looks like it's not easy for the Mosler, but they can produce their lap times a little bit more consistently, a little bit more easily. Right now, Shane Lynch has got past the Ultima. He's chasing down Tom Herridge. Oh, and look at this. Dan Eagling gets up the inside of the Ultima, nearly takes out our camera position on the back of the 69 TVR here. So Dan Eagling puts a nice move there on the Ultima and just nearly outbrakes himself.
I think the Ultima there thought almost about closing the door and then decided better against it, because I think Dan Eagling was coming through regardless.
Here we look at second and third in the race here. Gareth Evans is fending off Peter Labat, and the guys behind him are closing down. Second, third, fourth, and fifth in this race are getting close together now. We go on to the continuation of another lap. We go back on board with Tom Herridge. Tucked in behind now the Peninsula TVR of Don Hartshorn, and he makes easy work up into the hairpin. Good move there, Johnny. Used the Lotus to kind of block that driver out. Took advantage.
Yes, but I think John was almost waving him through. I was surprised how easy that was, but then again, I suppose they realise there's a much quicker car coming up. They'll lose too much time if they try and defend, but Tom Herridge is determined, I think, to give Rob Bath as good a shot at going for the win as he possibly can. He's going to try and make light of this traffic.
Yes, so Tom Herridge continues to press on. Oh, look at that. Again, Johnny, we've been talking about Peter Labat and how aggressively he's driving that Corvette. The Zero team are developing that car nicely. It's just good to see someone grabbing the car by the scruff of the neck.
Yeah, he's really giving everything he's got and trying desperately hard to make up for his lack of straight line speed.
Yeah, and that's a good point, because they have their spare engine here at Knockhill. Hopefully in the next round at Silverstone, they're talking about having a little bit more grunt with that Corvette. And talk about grunt, Tom Herridge literally just drives around the outside of him. Peter Labat doesn't make it easy. Oh, and he just manages to squeeze around the outside. It's a determined Tom Herridge trying to get on terms with the race leader here at Knockhill. It's all action. Join us after the break for more. Welcome back to Knockhill. That is Tom Herridge, and that is Gareth Evans in the TVR. The battle for second place here. Tom Herridge has sized his way through the field after an earlier mistake, and right now he's tucked right in behind the bumper of that TVR, trying to get on terms with the leading Mosler in this race, who has disappeared off into the distance. Right now, Johnny, this is going to be a tough pass.
He knows full well he's got to be close enough to take advantage of the traffic when Gareth Evans hits these two cars. Not literally, obviously. He's got to be right there to sweep past him. He's got a good run at him now. I wouldn't be surprised if he tries to do him down into the hairpin. He's got a bit of extra power as well.
Yeah, lights ablaze, trying to put Gareth Evans off as much as he can. The hairpin is a popular overtaking spot. Gareth Evans tries to take a defensive line. No, he does take a defensive line. Peter Labat on the inside. Oh, and he does. He hits Tom Herridge.
You haven't been to Knockhill unless you enter the hairpin, all four wheels locked up. I enjoyed that moment from Peter Labat, and he nearly got down the inside enough to hold position. No harm done.
And here we can see Shane Lynch just coming around the outside, and again, Peter Labat's not going to make it easy. He goes by the outside, and yes, he does, of the Peninsula TVR, and they are side by side down through. Duffer Stiff is getting very close here at round 4 of the British GT Championship at Knockhill as we look back from Shane Lynch's machine, as we've done so much of this race, as he has continued to give us so much entertainment. Another good drive by the Irishman. Tom Herridge, he puts a move up the inside of Gareth Evans, and he steals away second place. It is a Mosler 1-2 now at Knockhill.
Yeah, it's taken Tom exactly 9 laps to actually, from his excursion through the gravel trap at the hairpin, to get second place back, which is where he started. So unfortunately now he's a long way behind the other Mosler.
It is the other Mosler being driven by Sean Balfe. Has just walked away so far with this round 4 of the British GT Championship here, and Tom Herridge's going to do everything he can to get on terms with him. Now look at this, Shane Lynch is trying to put a move on the Corvette. He's going around the outside down with the Duffer Stiff. Peter Labat's not going to make that easy. We look back from Shane Lynch. George's car. That is a Chevy Corvette tucked right in behind in this TVR. And again, good driving from Peter Labatt. Now here we'll probably see the power advantage of the TVR as we get on towards the straight, just pulling away. But again, good driving here, very aggressive.
Yeah, the Peter Labatt, the Corvette, you can see how stable that car is through the fast stuff over the top of the chicane there. Much better platform in terms of lateral roll, and can carry so much more speed. If he had another 30 horsepower, that'd be a real car to beat.
Yeah, sure would. Here, Shane Lynch, again, trying to... He wants to get on terms with Tom Herridge. Tom Herridge and him were battling it out. Look at the gap that Herridge has managed to pull now. Shane Lynch wants that third place. And those guys came to Knockhill, Johnny, really expecting to win in that Eclipse car.
Yeah, I mean, you heard Shane earlier saying if you don't win here, you don't know where you're going to win. And you can see a replay now of they're going down into the hairpin there. There's Peter Labatt, all four wheels. Well, actually, to be fair, just the right front, but that's good enough for me. Good effort there. A nice little tap on the side there of Tom Herridge. Well held, actually, for Tom there, and got back in the throttle. Didn't lose too much at all.
No, he didn't, and here we see our Cup class leaders coming into the pits now. This is Patrick Pierce is going to hand over to Matt Griffin. Now, pit stop's very important always, Johnny, but in such a short race like this, only 40 minutes, even more critical than normal.
Oh, exceptionally critical, and if you think about how hard they've had to work to gain 1 or 2 seconds out on the track, and if you mess up a pit stop, you can lose 10 seconds easily, so completely critical, and the shorter the race, the more critical it is.
Here we go in the Eclipse, guys. Get to work. You can see literally the whole team ready to push this car and get it going a little bit longer than perhaps they like. And here is our race leader. This, of course, Sean Balfe is going to hand that car over to Jamie Derbyshire. They want to keep their 100% record, having won every round of the championship so far. These guys want to do a little bit of something about it. But right now, that 33 Moser is just looking so strong. Not just the car, Johnny, but the driver pairing.
Yeah, they've done very, very well. And the thing about any racing, if you can get your head down, get out in front, get some clean air, then you're not going to make mistakes because you're not under pressure. And that's exactly what's happened this year. It's very rare that you've seen them under pressure.
That's right, more pit stops here. We saw John Hartshorn hand over to Graham Mundy. And now it's going to be Stephen Brady handing over to Aaron Scott. Aaron hasn't had too much time in that car so far this year, Johnny, but when he gets into it, he's very quick indeed. Hopefully they can have a good, clean run to the end of this race.
I think Steve High got a better run through the chicane, got down the inside of Graham Mundy going into Clark and just tried to keep it there, and he was a good halfway down, so I have to say that was a 50-50 racing accident.
And here we go, the second place Mosler. Tom Herridge gets yanked out of that car, and Rob Barf is getting strapped in now. They've got the stopwatch on again. The pit stop is so important here. That looks like a pretty good stop, Johnny.
Very, very slick stop, I have to say. They're straight back out, and obviously they're interesting to see. And there's a Morganoff.
Yeah, that's Rob Wells. He loses that machine going into Duffus, and just manages. Seems like he comes away okay. And we've got more pit stops. Important pit stop. This is the pit stop of our leader, the number 33 Mosler. Now, again, they can afford, Johnny, to be a little bit more careful, a little bit steadier, because this is where things can go wrong if you rush it.
Absolutely. You can see that the sense of urgency that the Herridge Balfe car had, you've not got it in this. So obviously you can see now that they're going out with a little bit more time to play with. They're probably going to take the lead without too many issues.
Oh, talk about taking the lead. That's Neil Cunningham in the Morgan Air Ray pushing hard now on Matt Griffin in the Porsche. Now, he's doing a fantastic job, Johnny. He's the only guy to drive this car. He's had to get out, do a driver change with himself, get back in, and he's continuing on a great second stint here.
Yeah, he'll be a little bit annoyed because he's got Rob Barf in the Moser coming down the inside. He knows that's going to cost him 3 or 4 car lengths in the Porsche. He's right up behind going into the hairpin, but I know Neil very well, and I know he won't give up.
He won't indeed, Johnny. And as we see, we're on board here with the Mosler as it goes by those 2 Dicing GT Cup cars, and we can see Neil Cunningham pushing as hard as he can. Can he get on terms? He was great in the previous race. He really did push the Porsche hard. Can they swap positions here in the second race at Knockhill? This is our leader. Fantastic performance by Balfe and Derbyshire. Derbyshire in the car now. Sean Balfe did a great first stint, and it must be said they were unchallenged. A challenge here from Neil Cunningham against Matt Griffin. Up the oh, he hit him. He's off, Johnny.
Yeah, Neil didn't actually have much choice there. He carried so much more speed through to the apex of the Clark corner, and you can see that the Porsche just pulled back in on him, and then actually it was short of coming out of the throttle himself, which had caused him to spin. He had to give him a little bit of a love tap, as we call it, and unfortunately he got away from him.
Absolutely. I don't think Neil could do anything to get out of the way. Like you say, he had a lot of momentum with the car. The Porsche just seemed to slow up there a little bit. Cunningham really couldn't do anything but keep that momentum going, and the Porsche comes off worse.
Yeah, there was no way that was deliberate, and unfortunately for Matt Griffin, he ends up in the gravel trap, and as you can see, he's got nowhere to go. But that was definitely not a deliberate punt.
Mosler continues around, lights ablaze, just one lap to go. This is one, we can look at the positions here. Balfe and Derbyshire lead it. Barf and Harwich are in second place, and it's the TVR in third, but not really on terms now. We go on board with Rob Barf.
Yeah, you can see the gaps there, 13 seconds between first and second. Third, 29 seconds from the leader. There's a huge gap in between them all. There's nothing's going to change radically on this last lap now.
Yeah, it's looked like from time to time that Barf has really put that leading Mosler under pressure, but every time he seems to do it, Jamie Derbyshire seems to match him with equal pace, and that's why the gap has stayed fairly consistent here into the hairpin for the last time. Jamie Derbyshire continues with a 100% record for the Balfe Motorsport Mosler as they go up towards the line. Great performance by those guys. Now again, are we going to see it? Is Neil Cunningham going to win in the Cup class? As we see, here he is. Johnny, this is a fantastic drive by Neil.
He'll be chuffed to bits with this, and obviously going into the hairpin for the last time, a little bit careful with the GT cars around him. But it'd be nice for him to take this win, and I'm sure it'll pay back to the team an awful lot for him driving for them as well.
Yes, a historic win too for Morgan. They haven't won a race at this level for many, many years. So Mosler continue their domination with a textbook performance by the Balfe Motorsport team. The second Mosler and the 69 Eclipse TVR fought back brilliantly to claim second and third. And Neil Cunningham put in a stirring drive to take Cup class honours for Morgan.
Jamie, these little chats are becoming quite familiar, aren't they?
Yeah, I like it. I'm going to want to continue this way as well. Yeah, Sean put in another cracking stint. Sort of just, I think, gave me another 20-second lead, and all I had to do was sit on it and sort of bring it home again.
Well, the points table tells it all. Balfe and Derbyshire's 100% record sees them head the table. But it's a very long championship. Tom Harwich is still only one race win away from closing the gap.
Neil, well done. And you did it all on your own as well?
Yeah, I did the first race. We had a good second place. This race here was a lot harder work. A shame that we got to the end there and we got tangled up over the last one coming out of the chicane on this right-hander. But that's racing, but it's been a very good weekend for us, for Morgan especially, to have a car that's been brought out to win a championship run, after 3 races. So we're looking forward towards Silverstone now.
So a double for Balfe and Derbyshire, but can they do it again at Silverstone in 2 weeks' time in the 3-hour race? We'll find out. See you then.